So questions I have for you. How are you spending your energy? Okay? Where are you spending it? Now, it's not a bad thing to spend it in any of these places. Absolutely not. But you cannot dominate one of these areas with your energy spending. And then the other question is, what are you doing to increase your energy reserves? Okay? Think about it. Think about your phone. You plug in your phone, it recharges, fantastic. But if your phone was as complex as you would need dozens of cords coming out of you to recharge you. Now here's what you do, because I do it as well. You plug in a few of your cords and recharge a little bit, but you still lose the energy battle over time. That's why you're more and more tired. Because you're not recharging who you are, what you need. So then, where does energy come from? Now, I know you guys understand energy does not come from coffee. I know you understand that, but I wanted to put it up there anyway. Okay? Energy does not come from coffee. Now, energy, if you look at adenosine, now somnogens, has anybody ever heard of the word somnogens before? So somnogens, what they are is they are chemicals in the brain that are going to induce sleep, right? Adenosine is the top somnogen that you have. So when you go through your day, adenosine builds up, and it binds to adenosine receptors, and then what it does is you feel drowsy and you want to go to sleep. And that's why you guys choose, or a lot of people choose, caffeine, because they have a very similar molecular shape to adenosine. And so when you feel that drowsiness come on, the buildup of adenosine, they're starting to bind to the receptors. You choose caffeine, which has a similar molecular shape, and so they start to bind to it, and so you don't feel drowsy. But the problem is, adenosine doesn't give it up that easy. Your body does not give up that easily. And so what your body does, it creates more adenosine receptors. And so therefore, to get those same perky effects, you have to drink more coffee, more caffeine in order to feel the same effects that you once did. Right? If you haven't drank coffee in a month and you have a coffee, think about how you would feel. You'd probably feel fantastic. But if you drink coffee every day, you know, in order to feel like I did a month ago, I'm going to have to drink probably twice as much. And so you're going to have to drink more and more. So where else does it come from? Does it come from, when I usually ask students this, I'm like, where does energy come from? And usually they say food. And they're not technically wrong. However, food gives you the chemical energy that you need. But when you feel this, after you eat, do you feel energized? Probably not. Food is filled with fillers, with hormones, with antibiotics, with a lot of things that do not make you feel good. You feel tired afterwards. Now, if you have a look at this, have a look at the middle picture that I have up there. So if you look at chickens, where they've come from to where they are, it's not a good place. Chickens used to be a lot smaller than they are now. And one of the reasons is because of, the main reason is selective breeding, right? They realized these two chickens are big, let's breed them together, and then they kept doing that. But the problem with selective breeding is, over time it can lead to unwanted health outcomes, such as a poor immune system. Poor immune system means you need more antibiotics. This ends up in your food. So then where does energy come from? It comes from your cells. You have an estimated 37.2 trillion cells in your body right now. Most of those are blood cells, white blood cells, red blood cells. Most of those are those. And the good thing about this is, the reason that you should be excited about this, and so if any of you guys work with clients, get them excited about this fact. the fact that you always have cell turnover. This is where energy comes from. So you always want to get people excited by this, okay? Because if you look at things like white blood cells, they only last for about 13 days. If you look at red blood cells, they last about 120 days. Liver cells last about 18 months. Brain cells you have your entire life. But there's always turnover. This turnover is important. It's not a bad thing. Autophagy is a good thing. It's necessary. And if there's one thing you guys walk away from here today is that, how can I increase autophagy? If you can learn a few things about that, you are going to come out with more energy than you started if you implement it. Now the word autophagy, so auto meaning self, and phageo meaning to devour, so to devour oneself, to eat oneself, that's where the word comes from, okay? And so this is something that you want. This is natural. This is healthy. So the question you might ask, how can I get rid of dead cells? Because once you get rid of dead cells, you make room for more cells, healthy cells to create. That's what you want. You don't want cells to just stick around. Dead cells, cells that are in between living and dying, which a lot of them exist within us. You want them to be gone so you can have new healthy cells propagate within yourself. There are lots of different ways that you can up-regulate autophagy, okay? Exercise is a big way. Fasting. Does anybody fast in here? 3 people. Great. You should start fasting. One of the things that happens when you fast is that you get out of the body's way. You let it start to recover and help itself. Now, the fasting there, I put a couple different studies because it shows you that the first study was done on mice, and it showed that 24 to 48 hours fast can have a massive upregulation in your autophagy. But then there's been studies since that have shown that even short-term fasting can have a big impact on it. Okay? And then the other one is ketosis, being in ketosis. But there's a lot of other things that you can do in your everyday life to increase autophagy, increase cell production, therefore increase the amount of energy that you have. One is deep sleep. I'm obsessed with deep sleep. I'm probably too much analytical. Okay? I track everything that I do because in order to measure it, I must monitor it, and that's the only way I can help it. And so there's different things you can do. One is trying to figure out how you can improve your deep sleep. Okay? I doubt we can get to it today, but I hope we do. I'm going to show you some very easy ways that you can increase the amount of deep sleep that you achieve per day. The other is hormetic stress. Exposing yourself to an hormetic stress. Exercise is hormetic stress. Heat is a hormetic stress. Cold is a hormetic stress. Meaning what happens is if you expose yourself to that kind of stress for too long, you're going to die. But if you expose yourself to it for a specific period of time, you're actually going to be healthier because of it. And if we have time, I'm going to go into detail on how these can help you. Caffeine. So I'm not anti-caffeine. Caffeine is fantastic. It's just don't rely on caffeine to be your energy source. I want you to be able to wake up and get out of bed, right? Not wake up and take your time, okay, figure out what you're going to do for the day, scroll social media, and then throw one leg out of bed and then the other leg. I want you to wake up and get out of bed. So I'm not saying caffeine is bad. Caffeine is actually fantastic. There's a lot of fantastic therapeutic effects of caffeine. One of them is it upregulates autophagy, much like green tea and certain foods and certain probiotics. This is the probiotic I take. I highly recommend it. If any of you guys are looking for a new probiotic, one called Seed is extremely good. Okay? And then certain foods can upregulate autophagy. You want to be doing this. You want your body to be cleansing itself, working through itself, cleansing, getting rid of, and feeling better and better and better. Now, I don't know if you guys realize, so I remember on the cab ride here from the airport, the taxi driver, him and I, we had a fantastic conversation. And I don't remember how, but somehow it turned itself towards language. And he was talking about you have to get your kids into speaking a second language. He spoke 3 languages. He's like, you got to get your kids to speak 2 languages because they're going to appear smarter if you do, his words. It's like, if they speak 2 languages, they're going to appear very smart. I thought, yeah, that's probably true. I said, or at least I thought, okay, I want them to be able to, yes, that'd be great if they can speak 2 languages, but I want them to be able to understand other languages as well. The emotional language. I want them to understand the language of their body. Okay? There's so many other languages that we don't think of. Okay? The emotional language being the top one. Now, your body's always giving you clues of what it needs. Constantly. Right now, it's telling you, I need more of this or I need less of that. The problem is you don't speak the language. You have no idea what it's saying. When you look at your fingernails, you have no idea those white marks. What does that mean? Does that mean that I have deficient in zinc? You have no idea if you shine a light in your eye and if it pulsates. Does that mean that I have adrenal insufficiency? Your body, if you can learn to speak the body's language, you can understand it better, and you can give yourself more energy. Okay? So you need to become a better detective. You need to be able to say, the body is telling me this, I need to listen, and I need to respond in an appropriate way. Maybe it's telling that you have too much of something. Maybe you're having too much exercise, too much yeast, too much wheat, okay? The problem is you just don't speak the body's language. And so you need to learn how to change that. Okay, so when you look at your cells, if cells are what give us energy, you want to look at what can I do to help my cells? How can I help them survive? Okay, what do they need? They need oxygen to drive metabolic reactions. They need water, okay, to help those reactions, to help osmosis, to help diffusion. And you need waste removal. Now, there's a lot of things that you do and we do and that just happens around us that negatively impacts your cells. Remember, this is where energy is going to be derived from. So if you look at atrophy, why do cells atrophy? There's a lot of reasons your cells are going to atrophy, okay? And there's a lot of reasons why your cells are going to die. Now, at one point, like there was studies that were done saying cells can live forever if you give them oxygen, water, and waste removal. Right? Those are done on chicken cells, and that's not realistic for us. We live in an environment where you come into contact with chemicals, with airborne things. Cells are going to die, and that's okay, and that's normal, and that's healthy. Well, what you want to do is you want to aid in this. You want to aid in cell turnover and recovery and the building of new cells. So here are some ways that you can help your cells. Now, these aren't groundbreaking things. If I look at the last point, ground yourself. Has anybody ever heard of grounding or earthing? So you're walking on a magnetic blanket right now. Well, not right now, but when you go outside to the earth, that's what you're doing. The earth itself emits about 8 hertz frequency of, a magnetic frequency. In your body right now, you probably have a buildup of positive ions. And the negative ions on the earth, that's the reason why you should ground, earth yourself, take your shoes off, lay in the grass, is because by earthing, by grounding yourself, what you're doing is you are allowing, because of the negative frequency of the earth, you're allowing some of those positive ions to be released into the earth, which is going to help your electrochemical frequency. Now, before I knew about this, I thought it was really weird. I was going on a trip to England, and my naturopath said, once you get there, take off your shoes and walk outside. And I thought, okay, I'm not sure I'm coming back to you again. And she's like, just trust me, just do it. I didn't do it. But since then, I learned about it, what happens with magnetic frequencies in our bodies. Okay?